No, man. Should be online.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل
والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم فأما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المتين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل للتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله
اللهم صل على محمد
عليكم
ورحمة الله وبركاته.
مبارك الأمين. Sorry about each and every one of you. This month, the month of fasting, and incidentally, it's also that month where we spend, I would guess, the most time together. Because in the rest of the year, we get together for what, maybe 10 days, 11, 12 days. There, 3 or 4 days for Fatima. But every night, and we one of the special fasting, special makes this time of year feel so good to us is the fact that we're able to get together as a community every evening, pray together, and stay. And so for this reason, I wanted to go over this Surah Al-Hujurat with you in the 2 weeks that we have together. This is the 49th chapter of special place in my history. When I came into Islam, the people I came into Islam with were using Surah Al-Hujurat as the constitution for their community. So from this point of view, Hujurat has very guidelines for community, how to treat each other, how to treat the Prophet, the code of conduct. Upward aspect on a unique aspect, Surah Al-Hujurat also is a very instructive chapter on Quran. It's a very adabi type of chapter, a chapter that teaches us adab. And so to begin, words, we use adab in place of akhlaq, and we use words interchangeably. Part of the reason that is English, I think they both translate as etiquette. But there is a very subtle difference between adab. Akhlaq is daruni, batini. Akhlaq has to do with that inner aspect of the human being. And adab has to do with that outer aspect of So short, one distinction that we can make between adab and adab in a lot more. So really, over the next 2 weeks, our discussion that we're going to have is lifestyle. Style. And what I like to emphasize in these 2 weeks is style. We live in America. Everything's about style, isn't it? What you wear, how you dress, how you carry yourself, what you try, school, everything's about style. So I don't want you to think that Islam doesn't have any style. Next 2 weeks, we're going to talk about lifestyle and in particular, style in life. So when we talk about the other way that we can really explain that in an Arabic word is seer, type of life and style for living. And this is such an important aspect in Islam that's often overlooked. But just to show you how important it is, when Imam Hussein والسلام, stood up against Yazid and began his revolution, which he explained his revolution to the people was, he said, Uridu Islah. I want Islah, I want reformation in the community of my grandfather. Uridu an asira bisira I want to live my life according to the pattern of life lived by my grandfather and my father. And this really is what we're talking about in the next 2 weeks is style of life, lifestyle, and habits in life.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
Now, one thing that we'd like to also make clear as we begin is a way of little introduction. Oftentimes, we assume that our outward actions, the things that we do externally, the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we dress, the way we carry ourselves, we often assume that the roots of these actions are inner things, personality traits, inner aspects of the human beings. And usually what we do is we give these actions a root inside of ourselves, that our actions come from who we are inside, that our actions are formed by who we are inside. And this is true to a large extent. What we're doing physically in our everyday life, the actions that we carry out, the way we speak, the way we conduct ourselves, everything is to a large degree determined by what's going on inside of us, inside our minds, inside our hearts. One of the great ulama had said, Shahid al-Mihrab, Ayatollah Kastakhair, he had said that everything that human beings do is based on their perception of perfection. What we perceive as perfection makes us dress the way we dress, cut our hair the way we cut our hair, drive the car that we drive, have the job that we have. Everything has to do with what we perceive as perfection. And if for a moment our perception of perfection should change, then so too will our actions. So today when you look at us and you see how we walk, how we talk, how we carry ourselves, how we conduct ourselves in a society, it's based on what we perceive as perfection. We're acting this way because we perceive it to be perfection. And if this perception should change in our mind, we change what our concept is of perfection, our actions will change also. So this idea of etiquette, that the way we act comes from inside, is legitimate, it's correct. Many of our actions are based on what's going on in our hearts and in our minds. But understand, it just doesn't go one way from inner to outer. Also, on the opposite end of the scale, our actions affect also what's going on inside of us. The things that we do outwardly reinforce what's going on inside of our hearts and our minds. I'll give you an example. We have a hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen Al-Nabi alayhi salam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
Islam advises the believers to wear clothes that instill piety in them. It's a very important point. You can do an experiment and see it for yourself, especially the young people, because anybody my age or older, we're on the way out. We're leaving them. Our emphasis is on the youth. Young people, try it for yourself to see what I'm talking about. That not only does our inner side affect what's going on outside, but that our outer actions have a large role to play on what's going on inside. Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says, dress in the clothes of the muttaqi, of those people who have taqwa. Now, I've done it myself. I want you to try it. Wear a jeans and a t-shirt. Go outside. The way you're gonna, I'm not saying that the way you're gonna walk or talk or carry yourself is bad. I'm just saying is if we put on a jeans and a t-shirt and go outside, we're not gonna act the same way as if we wore this outside. It's gonna make a difference. Even our ladies, they know it to be true. Ladies, when they go outside, be hijab, they act much differently than the ladies who go outside, ba hijab, with hijab. So just this simple aspect of what clothes we wear has an effect on what's going on inside of us. It's a very deep effect too. You'll see it. Try it for yourself. Get a dishwasher. Get a shalvar kameez. Don't be scared of Donald Trump. Put on your dishwasher. Put on your shalvar kameez. Go out in the street. I guarantee you, you're not going to walk or act or talk like you do when you get on jeans and a t-shirt. So these outward actions also affect what's going on inside. And so from this point of view, a discussion about adab, which is zahiri, which is outward, is very important for our batini existence. And so for the next 2 weeks, we'll focus on that, inshallah. We're going to look at the lifestyle through Surah Al-Hujarat. Send us salawat. We'll continue. So our adab is very important. The way we treat each other is very important. One thing I like to always remind people, especially when we talk to a largely born Muslim community, people who have been born and raised as Muslims, I try to always remind them of this, Don't think that people will accept Islam because you gave out books or explain Tawheed and the Bulat, Imamat, Qiyamat, Adli Ilahi, the Usuluddin. Don't think that people accept Islam because we have a good Aqidah only. Most people that accept Islam are drawn by the Aqidah, by the ideology. But what has that lasting effect on people who convert is the adab and akhlaq that they encounter amongst Muslims when they go to the masjid. For instance, myself, when I became Muslim, I already believed in Tawheed. I already believed in the Book. I already believed in Qiyamah and these things. What pulled me to Islam was that when people got done with their salat, they shook each other's hands, hugged each other, embraced each other. When the namaz was done, they sat down, ate a meal together, spent time together. That adab and akhlaq with each other has a greater effect on creating converts than does all of the magazines and pamphlets and literature that you can give out. Now, there's a bad side to that also. Whenever I know a good convert, brother or sister who just accepted Islam, I never send them to the masjid right away. I mean, the worst thing you could do to a convert is send them to the masjid without some training. You got to train them first, get them ready to go to the masjid. Because I've seen people convert to Islam, go to the masjid, meet Muslims, and say, I don't want nothing to do with these people. I'm done, I'm leaving, I don't want nothing to do with Islam. Why? Because of our adab and our akhlaq isn't always the best here. There's two sides to this coin. If we have good adab, good akhlaq, we can draw people. But if someone comes in the door and he's not from our country or from our ethnic group or from our race, and hey, he's not going to stay here. He might not accept the truth of Islam. They won't be drawn to our religion. Why? Because of our adab and akhlaq. So that's why I always tell any new convert, when they say they want to go to the masjid, I sit down and I tell them, look, we're going to the masjid. I want to remind you, judge Islam by the Quran. Please do not judge Islam by the yarus that you meet at the masjid. You're going to go to the masjid, you're going to meet some people. Do not judge this religion by the people you meet at the masjid. It's an important point that we have a little disclaimer, put it in the fine print at the bottom of the page when we talk to a convert. And that has that effect on people. It can draw them to the religion or utterly repulse them and drive them away from the religion. How do we solve this problem in ourselves? With our own selves. Where does teaching adab begin? You know, I've suffered from this mistake myself, and so I'll share it with you. So inshallah, you've probably made the same mistake also, but it's not too late to change. You know one mistake we make in raising our kids? We wait until our kids get older. We say to ourselves, I'm going to wait till they get older and they've got a little sense in their head and they can understand reason and rationale and mantiq and logic and aqidah and ideology, and I'll teach them adab then. I'm going to wait till my kids get big. I'm going to wait till my children get grown, till they have a good head on their shoulders. Then I'm going to teach them adab. This is the wrong way to go about doing this. In our ayat, we have that the first 7 years of a child's life is love. And from newborn to age 7, a child is a prince or a princess in the home, and we just shower them with love. However, at the age of 7, according to the ayat, now it's the time to begin teaching them adab. To begin teaching them how to do things and how to do things correctly, because that's what adab is all about. How do we do things and how do we do those things correctly? It's a very important point that we begin training our children at age 7. There's 2 reasons for that we begin training them at age 7. Riwayat has said this. Certainly that's one of the reasons, but it's not one of the ones I'm going to mention. Why do we do this? Number one, because if we wait till the kids have grown and they're older, they're in their early teens or mid-teens, and we try to teach them adab, it's too late. They already have their own ideas. They've already established for themselves an adab. They've already established for themselves a certain raftar, a certain way of acting, a certain way of doing things. When we start earlier, we're able to train kids better at the age of 7. Why? This is reason number 2, because at that age, they're ready for it. Look at 7, 8-year-old kids. What's their most favorite game? I don't know about you, but my kids, my sons, man, they love cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers, anything military out of the heat, anything military. Why? Because kids at that age, they realize that there is a code that should be lived by. And just like you and I, everyone is looking for a code to live by. Me and you are looking for it. Kids as young as 7 are looking for it. That's why kids love to dress up like a policeman or an armyman. And when they see the army march a certain way, stop a certain way, salute a certain way, they imitate that. Why? Because they realize that life has to be lived according to a code. We all desire form, shape, an outward form that we can conform to and follow. Every human being is looking for that. Children play these games when they're that age because they're looking for that code. You show them soldiers marching, they imitate, they march the same way. Even little girls, since we're using mostly boy examples, we're using girl examples. Little girls realize this also, and about the same age, they begin playing very similar games. Even if it's not army or police, although many girls will play army and police because they're looking for a code to live by too, but they often imitate their mothers. They often imitate their mothers because they also are looking for a code to live by. If at this age we begin training them in adab, at age 7 we can train them. This is how you do this. This is how you perform this action correctly. And it's not just about religious instruction. It's at age 7 that we should begin giving our kids chores to do around the house. You have to sweep. You have to pick up. You have to make your own bed. Giving them these things to do at that age, number one, they're thirsty for it. They want that responsibility. They're looking for that responsibility. Number two, training them how to perform these worldly actions correctly is very important to them. Even as mentioned in Riwayah, begin training our children how to make salat even at age 7. The minute that you see children begin to imitate you in salat, begin training them. Because they're ready. They're looking for that. So training in adab in the correct way of acting is something that is vitally important. And we should not wait till our kids are preteens or early teens to perform this job. This job begins at age 7, according to Riwayat, inshallah. But from age 7 to 14, teach them how to do things like that. This chapter 49, Surah Al-Hujurat, makes lifestyle, Sabuka Zindagi, very clear for us. Now, there is some faza'il to reading Surah Al-Hujurat, and one of them that I'll mention to you is, it's mentioned that whoever reads Surah Al-Hujurat daily, counted amongst the people who make ziyarah to Hazrat Rasulullah every time they read Surah Al-Hujurat. Reading of Surah Al-Hujurat daily carries the thawab of making ziyarah to Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam daily. Why? How come this chapter of Quran should have such a high standard, a high reward for it? It's because of that adabi and instructional aspect of this surah. Let's begin by reading the surah, inshallah, and we get a clear idea of what's going on. Send us up.
اللهم صل على محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله واتقوا الله إن الله سميع عليم. Oh, you believe, do not be forward in the presence of Allah and His Prophet, and fear Allah, be on guard with Allah. Surely Allah is the hearing and the knowing. And that first verse of chapter 49, Surah Al-Hujurat. Or you believe, do not be forward in the presence of Allah and His Messenger. I think it's very interesting that Allah and His Messenger are joined here. Do not be forward in the presence of Allah and His Messenger. There's probably 11 times in the Quran talking about ita'at, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions ita'at, both ita'at, obedience of Allah, and of his prophet together. That they're joined together. There's maybe 11 of these in Quran, according to what I counted. There might be more. But at least 11 of these in Quran where ita'at of Rasulullah and ita'at of Allah, obedience to the Prophet and obedience to Allah are equated in the same verse as the same. And only 2 or 3 times in Quran where ita'at to Allah, obedience to Allah is mentioned without this. As an example, Surah Al-Shu'ara, it's mentioned 8 times in there. Prophets say, Allah, and obey me. Obey Allah and obey me. 8 times it's mentioned in Surah Al-Shu'ara. Obedience to Allah and to Prophet is mentioned much more in the Quran than just obedience to Allah. And there's a reason for this. The reason is that our revelation from Allah comes by 2 means. One is direct revelation of Allah, these are the words of Allah, like Hadith al-Qudsi, like Quran. And the other way we get revelation is through the Prophet, his actions, his deeds, his sayings, and so on and so on. So obedience to Allah and to Prophet is joined together most often in the Quran from this point of view. Now then, this verse of Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tuqaddimu bayna yadayhi. Do not be forward in the presence of Allah and his messenger. Now, this says do not be forward in the presence of Allah and his messenger. Mufassirin have come and have wondered, what does this do not be forward? What does it mean? Some Mufassirin have come and have said, look, don't be forward in the presence of Allah and the messenger. That means don't speak before Prophet speaks. Don't stand up before Prophet stands up. Don't go in front of Prophet. Don't be forward in the presence of Prophet. But it's so beautiful. It's not just in these outward things. You can see this from the tafsir given by Al-Nabi. Al-Nabi disagrees with many of the Mufassirin who say that this la tuqaddimu bayna yaday Allahi wa rasulih, don't be forward in the presence of Allah and his messenger, that it has to do with physical things. Al-Nabi says, abada, no way. Why? Because the subject of this la tuqaddimu has to be mushtarak between Allah and the Prophet. It has to be something that Allah and the Prophet have in common. She's the best shot here. She's okay. She's sharper than the rest. So, this la tuqaddimu bayna yaday Allahi wa rasulih, it's not just for outer aspects. Don't stand up before Prophet. Don't eat before Prophet. Don't speak before Prophet. No, this la tuqaddimu bayna yaday Allahi wa rasulih, it means something that Allah and Prophet have in common. Don't be forward in this aspect that they have in common, that Allah and Prophet have in common. So the question is, does Allah stand up? No. Does Allah walk? No. Does Allah eat? No. Does Allah speak in this way that we're talking about? No. So obviously, manzur of this verse, the aim of this verse is not that you shouldn't eat before Prophet, speak before Prophet, walk before Prophet, stand up before Prophet. No, it has to be something that Prophet and Allah have in common. Now let's ask ourselves, what do Prophet and Allah have in common? Anybody tell me?
Obedience to them.
Huh?
Our obedience to them.
Obedience to them is part of it. You're getting close. I'll make it very clear to you that because I like to do quality participation. It keeps me awake. What is common between Allah and Prophet is giving a ruling, giving a order. So la tuqaddimu bayna yaday Allahi wa rasulih means not having a hukum other than the hukum of Allah and his Prophet. not making a ruling for ourselves other than the ruling of Allah and His Prophet. Now we're born and raised in America, we're living in America. The young people are going to stand up and say, what about my opinion? What about my experience? Doesn't that count for something? So you mean I have to not make a hukum for myself before I understand the hukum of Allah and His Prophet? We say yes. This is absolutely right. Izhar an-nazar laqali. Don't make our opinion known before the opinion of Allah and His Messenger is understood. Understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's haram for us to have an opinion. In issues that we might not know, we might have an opinion. We might make a ruling. As an example, someone goes to the store and they read on the back of the label, it said, may contain animal products. On the back of the label of your cookie, it says, may contain. It may not. Now, if someone makes a ruling for himself, he says it only says may. I'm going to eat it. Someone else says, no, I want to know what's the ruling of Allah and His Prophet. Now, the person who makes his own ruling, if he comes to find out that the ruling of Allah and the Prophet is different, then he submits to that ruling. And this is what we're talking about. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to make a ruling where we don't know, but we should seek the ruling of Allah and His Prophet. And if we make a mistake in our opinion or in our ruling, and we come to find out that the ruling, the opinion of Allah and His Prophet is different, then we submit to that. And this is where many of us get ourselves in trouble. We say, well, in my opinion, that's not correct. But who cares about your opinion? What do we care about your opinion? Nobody really cares. You know what they say about opinions, right? I'll tell you that afterwards, inshallah. The fact of the matter is that you may have an opinion, but we should always submit our opinion to the opinion of Allah and of His Prophet. That we don't do hukm for ourselves. That we look and see what is the hukm of Allah, what is the hukm of Hazrat Rasulullah.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Now, some people have said, look, this verse of Quran, it has to do with a specific incident that happened. And I'll explain that incident to you very quickly. Once, tribesmen of the tribe of Qaqa came to Prophet, it's an Arab tribe. They came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Prophet was giving a leader to them, appointing a leader to them, that this person will guide you in your acceptance of Islam and train you in the ahkam. So what happened? Khalifa number 1 was there. He began telling Prophet, before Prophet could issue his hukum, he began telling Prophet, Prophet, appoint so-and-so. Prophet so-and-so is a good man, he's from that tribe, appoint so-and-so. Khalifa number 2 stands up and says, you don't know what you're talking about. Prophet, appoint so-and-so. You should send so-and-so, a different person. Send so-and-so to be their leader. Both of these two got in an argument in front of Prophet, cutting him off from speaking, arguing about Prophet, you should send this person. The other person saying, Prophet, you should send that one. Not allowing Prophet to speak. And this first verse of Surah Al-Hujurat was revealed. This verse of Quran is not just for that time. And we can't say that just because today Prophet is deceased, so it has no bearing on us. No. Even today, when we want to know what's correct, what our opinion should be, what the hukum should be, we should first and foremost seek out the hukum of Allah, the ruling of Allah, and the ruling of His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Well, we'll finish up this evening early, inshallah, and continue from tomorrow night. Allama Tabatabai says there is proof for this idea, there is proof for this ruling that we say لا تقدموا بين يدي الله والرسول has to do with Hukum Guzari, Izhar and Nazar, having an opinion. Because of this, surely Allah is hearing and this last very clear what is the intent of Islam. It's not walking before the Prophet or speaking his heart and giving a hukum, a rule outside. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ends this verse with Inna Allah Sami'un Alim. That surely Allah is hearing and knowing. If this La tuqaddimu bayna yaday was something physical, don't stand before Prophet, don't speak before Prophet, don't eat before Prophet. If it was something physical, then Allah says Allah will end the verse by because Allah ends the verse in Allah. In a box. Sami'un Alim is indicating that this love of the we ask that Allah, inshallah, should make us those bandegan of His, those servants of His that are like that have adab and akhlaq. Ya Allah, forgive us of our sins. Have mercy on our souls. The blessings of Shahr Ramadan encompass each and every one of us and our families. Ya Allah, have mercy on our loved ones, members of our community who traveled forward before us. Ya Allah, raise them up as lovers of Al-Nabi. Ya Allah, give shifa to the ill amongst us. Shifa al-Ruhi, shifa al-Badani. Ya Allah, hasten the appearance of your Imam and make us his helpers and supporters upon his return. فلا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم.